fantasy football projections for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receiver, and tight ends. We're not going to do kicker and defensive special teams. We might do that later on, closer to the season. But right now, just too early. You don't know what's going to go down. So.
And this is our pre-draft fantasy settings because you know you can get some fantasy players going to teams and things like that, and it can do a little bit of a change up. So this is just pre-draft.
Way too early. First, we'll start with quarterbacks. I'll tell you my list first. My number one is Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to be in full force coming back with Jordy Nelson back. What's your number one?
I think Cam Newton's going to come in. He's been a kind of a very productive player. I think he was fantasy leader this year, and I think last year, was it last year or the year before last?
Andrew Luck
last year, I think. But I know he was up there. He's probably number two. With his run game and passing, and plus he's going to have one of his wide receivers back, I feel like he's probably going to make another number one.
What's your number one?
I've got Aaron Rodgers. I think by far he's still the best talented quarterback out there, and I believe with Jordy Nelson coming back and everybody being healthy, I think he'll continue his success.
All right, and then from 2, 3, 4, and 5, we'll just say all four of them at one time instead of going each individual. So my number 2 is Tom Brady. I think he's Tom Brady, so he's going to stay in the top 5 regardless. Number 3, I have Russell Wilson. I know you're going to say I'm a homer, but I think he's improved, and he was like 3rd this year, I think. And I think he'll be even better with Jimmy Graham back and forward and even more experience. I think 4 will be Cam Newton. I think he'll fall off a little bit, not much. And then 5, I think Big Ben. I think Big Ben's a consistent top 5 player if he's healthy.
Yep, I think Tom Brady's going to be number 2, just like you said. I agree with that totally. Aaron Rodgers, number 3 choice for me. You know, it's Aaron Rodgers. Anything can happen. He could quite possibly be number 2 or number 1. I just put him at number 3 due to health and things like that with the team. Ben Roethlisberger, number 4. Consistent top 5 player easily. Could have been in the MVP running this year if it wasn't for injury. So, and then number 5, we got to go with Russell Wilson. You know, the run threat, and then he's made some connections with his wide receivers, and he's just getting better. I think that's good. That's my top 5.
My top 5 goes with number 2, Tom Brady. That said, Super Bowl champion. Very consistent player, always a top 5 quarterback. I got him at number 2. I've got Cam Newton at number 3. As far as fantasy goes, he's always in the top 5 of fantasy quarterbacks, dual threat quarterback. Big Ben always puts up great numbers during the year. He's always high on fantasy lists. And my sleeper is Andrew Luck, who I think will pick up from where he had 2 years ago. Last year he struggled a lot because he had a lot of injuries and stuff, but he was the number 1 fantasy quarterback the year before that, and I think he'll pick that up and just keep trucking right on.
That's our quarterback top 5s for each of us. Running backs. My number 1, I have Le'Veon Bell. I think he's an all-around great player. How he come back from the ACL injury, I don't know, but I feel like that's improved over the years, and I feel like that's not a problem coming back from that anymore, really. I thought he'll come back strong. Number 2 is Adrian Peterson. He's getting older, so you never know with him, but I feel like he's still there. He's still one of the best in the league. Todd Gurley, up-and-coming running back. He was a beast last year. I think he'll only improve with more experience. 4, Jamal Charles, another ACL injury. He's had a few in his career, but I think he'll be able to come back just like he has before. And number 5, you can call me a homer again, but I think Thomas Rawls really taking over that running game, and where the Seahawks running a lot, I think Thomas Rawls will get a lot of runs and will be able to really take over and have a lot of yardage and touchdowns and whatever.
I got Todd Gurley as number 1. You know, he came in this season. He didn't start off with the team. He, didn't play for a few games. He came in and ended up doing fantastic, really just kicking it up. And so I'm going to put him as number 1, and for the simple fact that I got Le'Veon Bell as number 2 just because of his ACL and PCL injury he had. And so I got him sitting right there. If not for his injury, I would probably have Le'Veon Bell number 1, but that's a different story. And then I have Adrian Peterson as number 3, due to age and things like that and productivity. I mean, he's still a fantastic player, but you can just kind of see him digressing each season. And then Jamal Charles, number 4, ACL injury last year. It's been his multiple one, as said, and but he always usually makes a way to come through. And then my number 5 is Devonta Freeman. I feel like he just showed himself this year. I feel like he can do it, and I feel like he's going to continue to do well.
My list starts off with Le'Veon Bell, who I think a healthy Le'Veon Bell, he's second to none. He's by far the number 1 back in the game with his offensive receiving and rushing. Adrian Peterson, another dual threat running back. He came back from last year from being suspended and had a great year. He's also another dual threat running back. Jamal Charles, I was kind of iffy about this, but with his injury, but I do think it seems like every year he has an injury. The year after that he has a great year, and then of course the next year he gets injured again. So maybe this will be his year to make a comeback. I got him at number 3. Todd Gurley, he showed what he could really do last year. Near the end of the year, was probably one of the top 5 running backs in the game. And I really think they're going to utilize him this year. And my sleeper pick for number 5 is Jeremy Langford. I think he's going to really do good with Matt Forte being gone. And I think he's going to take over the reins there. And he's another dual threat running back. He'll be receiving and rushing. That's my top 5.
And then going on the wide receivers, we did top 10 wide receivers because there's so many wide receivers in the game today. We couldn't do any justice getting the top 5, so let's go on through them. My number 1 is Antonio Brown. I think we're all
on agreement with Antonio Brown as number 1.
Yeah, he's bar none the best receiver as far as fantasy football and stats in general go. Number 2, I have Odell Beckham, and I think a lot of these guys you can flip flop 2, 3, 4, 5, you know. But I think he's gonna do number 2 really good. Julio Jones is 3. Like I said, you can flip flop any of these guys. 4, DeAndre Hopkins. I think if they can get the quarterback situation figured out, he could be number 1. But I don't think they're gonna get a quarterback that's gonna instantly produce. 5, I have Allen Robinson. I think he really showed what he could do last year, and I think he'll continue to do that and bolt himself even better into the top 5 fantasy receivers. 6, I have Alshon Jeffrey. I think with a healthy Kevin White opposite of him, that'll help him with his stats and take off the number 1 coverage off of him to where he'll have some more room to work with. 7, I have Jordy Nelson. I think he'll come back off the injury, and A-Rod will be slinging the ball as usual to him. 8, I have Brandon Marshall. I think he did great last year with Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think they'll continue to do that. 9, I have Dez Bryant. I think he'll come back with Tony Romo, and they'll continue doing what they're doing. And 10, I have Amari Cooper, who was a rookie last year, but he did well. I think he'll, with more experience with Derek Carr and more experience in the game in general, I think he'll really take off and ball into the top 10.
My number 2, because we all have Antonio Brown as number 1. My number 2 is Julio Jones. I mean, he's just a productive monster. I mean, you know, when everything's going on full cylinders and everything like that, he's him and Antonio Brown are kind of flip flop of 1-2, I think. But Julio Jones he's just a dominant player in the league. Number 3, I have Odell Beckham Jr. I mean, consistent threat. You know, there's nobody. He has games where he's hard to guard. He has games where he just dominates. And then number 4, Brandon Marshall, which is kind of a surprise being with the Jets, making such an impact to start off with. But I mean, he's a very talented receiver. Got a little bit of age on him, but I mean, he's still just as good. I mean, he's fantastic. Number 5, Dez Bryant. I think with Tony Romo coming back in, and you know, that kind of hurt Dez being out. He had his foot injury. Tony went out, and then he came in and just couldn't really do it without Tony, with that connection that they have. But I feel like with him back in, he's definitely a top 5 receiver. Number 6, Allen Robinson. You know, he was kind of a surprise this year. I mean, he came out of nowhere, being such a dominant player. With Blake Bortles at the helm, I think he'll continue to do such. I got number 7, T.Y. Hilton. He kind of had a slack year last year. and but I think he'll continue to do well. I mean, he's just an impressive player. Andrew Luck, just giving him all he can handle. Let's see, number 8, Alshon Jeffrey. You know, it's Alshon Jeffrey. Jay Cutler going to get the connection with him. They've been together for years now. Moving up to a number 1 receiver, I think he's going to be all right. Number 9, Jordy Nelson, coming off an injury year, his ACL torn. I feel like he'll do. I got him as number 9 just because you don't know how he can react to having his ACL torn and being a receiver the way he is. And number 10, DeAndre Hopkins, to do with the quarterback situation. You don't know who it's going to be.
I agree with Billy on his top 3, Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and Odell Beckham. But I disagree with both these guys on Jordy Nelson. I do believe he's always going to be a top 5 wide receiver if he's healthy, and I do believe he'll be healthy this year. The connection with him and Aaron Rodgers is unbelievable, and I do believe that they'll have an excellent season coming up if everyone stays healthy. DeAndre Hopkins is one of the best talents in the game, but it's hard to say with the quarterback situation. I put him at number 5 just because of his talent alone. Quarterback situation is a big question mark. Alshon Jeffries, who I agree with Billy, the connection between him and Jay Cutler is awesome. And with Kevin White, it's hard to tell if that's going to take away receptions from him or, like Oswald says, it may increase his connection with the coverage not being on him. Dez Bryant, Tony Romo, if those two are healthy, the sky's the limit. Brandon Marshall, who really showed what he could do when he got away from Alshon Jeffries and became the man in New York. Allen Robinson, who was basically tearing it up down in Jacksonville. And my last one is Kelvin Benjamin. He's my sleeper pick. I do think he hasn't had a chance to really shine to show what he's really capable of, and I believe this will be the year.
Last but not least is tight ends. I think we're all in consensus here with number 1. It's obviously Gronk. I actually debated putting Jordan Reed at number 1 because Jordan Reed showed his talent, but I ended up putting him as 2 because Jordan Reed, look, I think he's a heck of a player, and he showed towards the end of last year how good he could do with Kirk Cousins on the helm again. I think that connection will only grow. 3, I have Greg Olsen. You know, he's done it every year. He's a beast with Cam Newton. 4, I have Tyler Eifert, or Eifert, I'm not sure which way. I think people have heard it both ways, but I think he's going to hog up a lot of Andy Dalton's targets, and that's why I think AJ Green's not going to finish in the top 10. But Tyler, he's a heck of a tight end. I think he's going to do well. And then 5, I had the Barnyard dog, Gary Barnidge. He did great last year, and I think he'll keep doing that. This was his first year, his breakout year, so I think he'll keep doing it. He showed a lot of great things last year.
Like you said, Gronkowski, easy number 1. Just, I think, without a doubt, best tight end in the league, and going to continue to do so. Number 2, which was kind of a surprise, a lot of people don't think about him, but I think Delaney Walker is an easy number 2. I mean, he's just such a dominant player. I mean, he comes out and he gets a ton of yards per game. He can get 70 yards, 100 yards, easy 2-3 touchdowns a game. Kind of a sleeper in my opinion, but I think he's an easy number 2. Number 3, Jordan Reed, like Ozzy said, touchdown. I mean, he's just consistent scoring option with Kirk Cousins. You know, Kirk Cousins on the rise. I think Jordan Reed's going to be right there with him. Number 4, Travis Kelce. You know, good red zone option. I mean, he's consistently picking up touchdown scores. Alex Smith's always aiming at him. And then I got Greg Olsen as number 5 and not rated higher because of Kelvin Benjamin coming back in. You know, when you got more options, it's easy to pass up people that you've been consistent with. But I keep him in the top 5 just because it's Greg Olsen and he's always going to get a lot of receptions.
I've got Gronk, number 1, just like everybody else. Tom Brady's favorite target. Hard not to pick him. He's like having a wide receiver at your tight end position in fantasy football. Greg Olsen, he really showed what he could do last year. You know, the team went on that winning streak, and he was a huge part of it. As far as I was concerned, when Kelvin Benjamin went down, he became Cam Newton's number one target. Jordan Reed, he took advantage of Kirk Cousins taking that spot over, because Kirk Cousins is going to be he likes possession type receivers and shorter passes, and I think Jordan Reed fits in that mold. Number 4, I got Tyler Eifert, who really took advantage of Andy Dalton have a superb year, and he just decided that was going to be one of their better targets, and they like the short game too. And I kind of was toggling between quite a few different ones. I like Delaney Walker, like what Billy said, but I went with Travis Kelce because if there is passing to be done on Kansas City, it seems like they'd use the tight end and everything, and he's the biggest, the part of their offense as far as the passing game. And that's all I got on tight end.
All right, thanks Nation for watching. This was the fantasy football rankings. Like I said earlier in the video, things change. This is a pre-draft, so don't freak out or anything. But if you do disagree with us, leave a comment. We'd like to know what you think. But other than that, give us a like and subscribe. We love the support. Next week, stay tuned for the Dynamic Blitz Part 2 video with Jack Me Off in it. It's going to be pretty good. But as always, stay salty.